Yo. What's up, Waffles? Oh, God. What's up, Acrylic Sapphire? What's up, Marco? Okay, let's get to work. Let's get to work. So I have two different versions that I want to do. One with wood, one with kind of a green, but they're both going to start the same base, which is going to be Wraithbone or Agrax Earthshade. Doing a little paint test today. Mr. Average Painter, welcome in. How you guys doing tonight? Let's use my stand for once. What's up, guys? Welcome in. What's up, fat boy? Dude, those videos you sent me were sick, dude. Sure do appreciate it. Your stuff is looking crazy good, too. Yeah, I didn't know that my Astra Militarum had become so broken with the new detachment. That's badass. I'm all about it. But yeah, them being able to re-roll hit rolls and wound rolls in extra officer like commands, like kid out of town, that's too much. That's sick though. Haven't been keeping up on the rules as much as I should have, you know? That's wild. I need to get an Ursula Creed model. They're really sick. I need to grab but it will get nerfed soon. Oh, definitely. There's no way. Like extra orders is enough. Like just an army wide, every officer gets an extra order is plenty. Oh, and thank you for the heart me, dude. Oh, let me turn that on. I apologize. Should have been on. That's why you like sending gifts, dude. That's my bad. Should be working now. But I will be right back. I just gotta grab a paper towel. Okay. I'm back. Sorry about that. What's up, Johnny? Long time no see. I am currently working on some test palettes, some test color palettes for the oh, thank you so much. For some reason the sound isn't coming through. Let me check that. But I am working on the test palette for the beginning class model. So I'm trying to figure out which palette of colors, and if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll be able to pick which color palette you guys want to do. So that is what we're working on right now. It's just putting paint on a model, seeing which one looks coolest, and then we'll pick from there. But yeah, how you been? Yeah, it should be working. Nice, some Fallout minis, that's sick. Is there a game system with Fallout right now that I don't know about? My lady would be very intrigued. She's addicted to the show right now. Thank you so much for the likes, fat boy. But yeah, that's sweet. What kind of models are you making? What kind of, is it like some actual Fallout characters? Is it like from a board game? What's going on there? It's 2 or 3. Nice. Oof, and that's how I spill bottles, guys. Saw it here first. All right, we're gonna do 2 with the kind of grass, mossy looking wood, and then we're gonna do 1 with the just the wood color. So see how that turns out. What's up, H? How you doing, buddy? Dude, I've been looking at your stuff lately, dude. Some really killer stuff, dude. Really killer stuff. I'll make sure to repost it so my audience can also enjoy how cool your stuff is, bud. Especially like that purple and green hair you did. Can't remember what character it was for, but man, that whole face, you absolutely killed it, dude. Looks so good. Very clean painting. Good airbrush control, too. Most of the models are based on the Fallout 476 characters and items. Oh, that's sweet, dude. Nice. Some collabs, dude. Nice, dude. Maybe one day I'll be able to do cool collabs and stuff. Yeah, but that stick, it really is that like purple and green hair. Like, it's amazing. Turned out really good. Really good dry brushing. I feel like dry brushing is underrated. I feel like a lot of people just do it to do edges and whatnot. But if you use it actually as a painting technique, which actually I'm going to use for these models, it's going to be kind of a test over here for exactly how I want to paint these. So, dang, dude, seriously? That's crazy. Dude, congrats, bro. That's a feat. Yeah, I still have been just, I need to take photos of all my minis and then post some decent content on my Instagram. I made the account, I got it all set up. I just I've been too lazy to cross post over there my old posts, and then also I kind of want to use it as just a kind of a slideshow reel, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how I get over onto Instagram, but I know I need to do it. I know it has a massive following for Warhammer and miniature paintings and whatnot. The Nukatron and Protection, or Protectron, that's sick, dude. It's like a larger scale model, isn't it? It's got to be. Dude, dry brushing is the best. It's one of those skills that you learn once and it'll just help you throughout the entire process, you know? Which is very nice. We're just doing some pre-washes on the Zenithal spray with some contrast paints. And then we're going to get to dry brushing. And then after that, we will kind of perfect this one. And then I believe maybe tomorrow or the next day, we will actually paint the Sorceress test paint, the test model for the painting class. So that's what we're working on today. Kind of want to use dry brushing. Those of you watching at home, please tell me if the technique I'm using you don't think is going to be beginner friendly. Right now I'm just washing. I think that's very beginner friendly, especially as the first step. So I'm hoping that is an acceptable beginning. Oh, that is some dirty paint. That is a dirty paint tray or a wash tray. See it not come out? That's terrible. All right, then the other model should be dry. This is why I like batch painting, is you can set down one and then go right into the other. So I'm thinking we're gonna dry brush some olive brown and then we'll do some refractive green on the top. We'll see how that looks. Play it by ear. We'll start with the olive green. It's more of a, you know, brownish green. I have my paint mixer around here somewhere. Let me find it real quick and plug that bad boy in. I'm still here. Don't you worry. All right, there we go. I'm going to do a full video of my new setup I've made, but the really nice thing is I have actual outlets right on my table, which is really nice. Saves a lot of time instead of trying to hunt for it. And hopefully that isn't too annoying of a sound. But I sure do hope you guys are having a good night. Sorry for my long absence to my couple regulars. I sure do apologize for that. The remodeling took a little longer than I wanted it to, but I guess that's the nature of the beast. I don't know what else to do about that, you know, it just takes time. Try to go fast, pretty quick, but when you're repainting the entire room and doing drywall work and all that nonsense, it takes a minute. All right, that paint mixer is a definitely a good buy. Just put a little droplet on, and then we're gonna go with this verdant green as well. $100 equals 50,000 TikTok coins. I see you. It's almost as if he's a salesman. What's up, Coral Taylor? Whoa, that sounded terrible. So yeah, we're gonna come in with some olive brown, which is more of a greenish brown, right? We're gonna dry brush that as our kind of our bottom layer. Then we'll come in with refractive green, which is a very muted green as well, kind of military-esque colors. That'll be our base layers we're gonna do. Then after that, we will come in with a little bit of a brighter green, kind of a mossy green. And that will be our, kind of our highlight color on all of the bark skin. So I'm actually gonna probably hit this with a quick hair dryer real quick. Never mind, I don't know where it's at. So I'm just gonna airbrush it dry. What up, Diesel? Welcome in, brother. All right, there we go. Put that in its little chamber. Now we can get to dry brushing. A little bit more on. How game changers an airbrush, and should I get one? Okay. Thanks. Why the air drying? Well, I'm too lazy to wait for the contrast paints to dry. But so an airbrush, that's a great question. I get it a lot. Here's the thing about an airbrush. It's not going to instantly make you an amazing painter. I thought that like, oh man, if I got an airbrush, I would be such a good painter. The real truth of it is it's nice, it's convenient, and it makes really good smooth gradients on large flat surfaces, right? So when you're talking about like a tank, a battleship, a car, a big shield, skin surface is really nice to do with it, skins. It's really helpful. It's one of those tools that I definitely am glad I have. Now, that being said, it is a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. And it'll always be a pain in the ass just because you're spitting paint out of a nozzle, right? And so I tell people if you want to get an airbrush, by all means get after it. But the real thing is you have to be okay with messing up a lot of stuff early on. You're going to have to learn. There's definitely a learning curve. You have to understand like the air coming out, the tip, and how it interacts with the viscosity of the paint inside. And you'll have to be able to change those things to be able to get a better product. And it just takes time to learn those techniques. So, it's definitely... Yeah, rattle cans are really bad. If you're going to buy an airbrush just for priming, 100% you should get an airbrush. It is so nice. I have 2 big acrylic bottles of Vallejo primer. I use them all the time. It saves me so much time, and I love them. right? That's basically what I use my airbrush for probably 80% of the time. Almost every one of my models is primed with my airbrush. Now, if that's your intent, it's definitely worth it. And it's nice to be able to airbrush or to prime inside, right? And you can control the environment. You're still going to have to kind of understand how that paint's going to come out of that chamber. And realistically, you'll still have to, test and figure that out and, get a good understanding. Honestly, the best way to learn how to use an airbrush, like accurately, is to practice while you're priming. So if that's your intent, definitely buy one. Now, a lot of people think, like, they look at a model that has airbrushing and they think, oh, I can never do that. I don't have an airbrush. The best paintings I've seen by artists have always been hand brushed. Now, an airbrush is fantastic for really cool details like lighting effects. But when it comes down to it, like when, rubber meets the road, the best painting has always been by a brush. So that is my recommendation. If you are expecting an airbrush to like level up your painting, just know that it can and it will. You just have to suffer, and the suffering is worth it, in my opinion. But I don't want to like have you go into it with rose-colored glasses thinking that you'll be able to get these crazy good effects right out of the gate. It does take a while to really hone in on how your airbrush interacts with the surface and exactly how your paint viscosity and air pressure comes out. On that note, I do recommend getting an air compressor with a regulator on it. You can solve almost all of the problems that come with airbrushing by either upping the PSI or lowering it, and you can do that instantaneously with an air regulator. If you get one of the cheap ones, sometimes you just push a button and that is the airspeed. It's actually way harder to learn how to airbrush with a cheap compressor. But you can learn how to airbrush with a cheap airbrush. Just the compressor with a regulator is what I think is the most important. The mini holder you're using to paint, is that a common tool or something custom made? This is made by Citadel. You can purchase this at almost any game store or online on Amazon. It holds up to 40 millimeter. It has a little extendable kind of, little spring in there that'll hold the base. It's not necessary. It is a really nice tool when I'm doing smaller models. Just because, I don't have to hold a little thing. I can hold this big thing. They do make a larger sized holder as well that will do all the way up to, I think, 75 millimeter, which is about yay big. But when you get to that size, it's kind of awkward to, even work while holding it like that. You almost want to construct that in pieces to get a nice effect. So to explain what I'm doing right now is I did a base layer of Agrax Earthshade, just a really dark brown wash all over the wooden parts, and now I'm coming in with a really nice rich and dirty green, kind of a dirty brownish green. It's called olive brown. And then I have hit it on the kind of the mid-tone I'm going for is this refractive green, which is kind of an army green. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's the mid-tone. But yeah, that's what we're working on right now. We're just kind of trying to get that mid-tone in. And by mid-tone, I mean this is the gradient I want to be like in the middle of my highs and my lows. So I'm going to do this, and then I believe I'm going to hit it one more time with a shade. Ooh, thank you so much for the follow. Apostle of Quag. I might have pronounced that wrong. I do apologize. I am not that great at English. I am a native English speaker, but I am American, so not that great. I try my best. So, and what I'm doing here is I'm kind of doing, I paint in a 3-step process, which I call the easy way, which is highlight, pre-wash highlights, which you can call this right now as a pre-wash highlight. and then I shade, and then I do final highlights. And those 3 steps you can repeat as many times as you want. So if you aren't happy with the contrast, and as a mini painter, we're always trying to push contrast as much as possible, right? We want to darken the darks and lighten the lights. And by that, I mean the recesses, try and make as dark as possible and make the bright portions as bright as possible. So right now we have a nice kind of gradient going on. Perfect, brother. That's sweet. I have to ask because some people get really offended. I'm like, I try my best, but you're the one that picked a name like that, brother. So that's what we're working on right now. Let's see if I can't get a close-up to zoom up into it. Let's see. So as you can tell, we're getting a nice gradient. I can always zoom in the camera if you guys can't see what I'm doing from down low. I can bring it a little bit closer, but sometimes I get focusing issues. So just let me know and I can adjust as accordingly. But that's what we're working on. We're going to do one more round of a shade, right? So now we're going back to the washing stage. This is what I would call the mid-tone and the pre-highlight tone, which is kind of, I want my darks. This is kind of making it as dark as I want it to be. I want it to be real rich and dark in those recesses. Really get the shadow points really set in, right? And then I like to go in and get my mid-tone set on top of that, and then I'll hit it, bam, one more shade, and then I'll go in with my highlights. And what that does is that gives it a really rich disparity from the darkest point to the lightest point. And that's really what the really cool paintings you see online. If you feel like your models are missing something, almost every time I recommend trying to push those values even more. So as I do this, I'm going to go through and just do another shade right through all of this. And then on my next dry brushing, I'm going to be a little more reserved, do a little bit less paint on the dry brush and kind of push those values even more wherever I can. And yeah, that's what we're working on. We're going to get this shade set in, get it real nice, dark and rich. And then we'll do one more final highlight dry brushing with a brighter green, not my mid-tone or my shadow tone, my darkest tone, but actually kind of a really bright and vibrant green. And we're going to be really sparing with it, right? Because if you go too much, you kind of wash it and you're basically repainting it to that color, right? And I don't want that. I just want it to where the light is naturally going to hit it. And the best way to do that is with a zenithal spray, which helps kind of block in your values early on. And then you can just kind of memorize that. That's how I do it. But you can also use the light. You can use your phone, take a picture of it in a dark room with a light above it. That helps a lot too with new painters. But yeah. So once this gets set, we'll actually do the other brown miniature that I'm doing the wood kind of a foresty. This one's going to be a foresty green wood, and then the other test palettes are going to be more of a brownish wood, so kind of your traditional bark. And then we're going to just kind of play around with some color palette choices, which is kind of the funnest part of starting an army, in my opinion. But because once you pick what you want to do, that's it. It's done. It's set in stone, you know? So, and also another big tip, if you're an army painter, make sure the way that you're going to paint your army isn't some exuberant, over the top way of painting, where each model will take you hours and hours. Always kind of think in the back of your model, okay, if I paint this one and this one took 6 hours and I have, 20 more of these guys in my army, just think of the exponential growth there with how long it'll take you to paint. So with these dryads, I'm going to probably have 20 or 30 of them in my army, so I'm planning to kind of try and make them an easy paint, Oh, thanks, Diesel. I sure do appreciate that. And I have a bunch of armies. I have a Sons of Bahamut army. I have a Grey Knights. I have my Death Guard right here. I can show you one of those. I have my Death Guard here. So this is what I'm talking about. These models I went way overboard and they take way too long to paint and they look really cool, but I don't paint them. I still have more than half the army to paint and I want to paint them, but it's really disheartening. Now, with that, I figured out my mistake, and so I went with a more simpler design for most of my troops. So this is one of my Astra Militarum, I went with a World War II Americanized Death Corps of Krieg, and that's what this guy is representing. Real simple. I could have done more, but again, I had to paint 50 of them, so always keep that in mind. If you're an army painter, that is. It takes a long time to paint 50 if you're spending hours and hours on each one. And if you're using an airbrush or a hairdryer to dry shades, which are really, really watery, or glazes, just remember to be careful not to get the nozzle too close or where the air's coming out too close to the model, because it will make it spider web. It'll come out of the recesses where we want it, and it'll go places where you don't. So that's why I'm keeping it so far away. I don't know if you guys can see that. I got probably about 7 inches in between my model. But yeah, we're having fun. What are you guys' projects? Dream big, build small. What's up, buddy? Hey, dude. Long time no see. I'm sorry for my hiatus. I remodeled my whole game room, so check out that TikTok. I'm gonna we have a couple more things to buy, and we want to make it real cozy and fun and interesting, and some paintings. But after that, I'll post it. You guys can check out why I was gone for 2 months. Well, 5 weeks. Yeah. And the thing is, I had a timetable, but man, I ran out of money and time quicker than I thought I would. Which, you know, if you ever remodeled anything, that's pretty much how it goes. So, all right, well, that brush is now... Oh, by the way, another quick tip. If you dry brush, and then you clean that dry brush, just put it to the side. You can't dry brush with a wet dry brush. I've tried. It doesn't work. It works very poorly. You ended up just kind of painting. You always want your... I know it says dry brush. Maybe I'm just stupid. I didn't understand what dry brush means. Yeah, dude, the holidays, I feel like everyone kind of, you know, unless you're hardcore into it and that's your day job, kind of slows down a bit, you know. So, try my best. Just a one-man army over here, you know. I got all my paints mixed up. There we go. Booyah. Okay, so if you can see this now, what we got going on here is a nice, rich, kind of dark shadows, and my mid-tones kind of set in. No, it's kind of hard to see. Sorry, guys. It likes to fight me on the focus. But as you can see, they're really rich. Oh, thank you so much for the likes, Fat Boy. So now that those real dark tones are set in, now I'm going to come in with a really nice green here. A nice brighter green, this shade here. We're going to give that a mix real quick. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we're doing some test palettes, some test color palettes for the first beginner class of Patty Paints Minis painting classes, which is going to be in February. If you're interested, let me know. The first class is free. You just are going to have to purchase this model and whatever associated paints we're going to be using, but we're going to do a paint along kind of ordeal. But yeah, we're going to be painting this sorceress here. So I took some of my dryads that I plan to build a Sylvaneth army with, and we're doing some test palettes on them. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you will be able to vote on what color palette we're going to do. So going to try and get that post up ASAP. I just got to do the color palette test designs. So Vallejo for the win for sure, dude. So if you look at if you could see this, I mean, you can kind of see it on the landscape view, but I have half Citadel and half Vallejo, and I'll tell you right now, I would pick my Vallejo paint over the Citadel paint any day. Oh, you're good, fat boy. Tell you what, there'll be honorary votes. How about that? Your vote will count for half of a Patreon supporter. All my real ones, my OGs. But you know how the business works. So right now, these are our shades that we've done. So again, we've washed with this one. We did our kind of our dark, almost our in-between mid-tone. Man, my fingers look fat at that angle. I promise they're not that fat. I do have pudgy fingers. And then this is kind of my mid-tone, highlight tone, the actual mid-tone. And then this is going to be my highlight. Yeah, I heard Army Painter's new Fanatic range is insanely good. I heard it's insanely good. So the trick here with this dry brush is I have an even smaller dry brush here, right? And now we're just going to hit the edges, okay? Just where the light's going to be hitting. So we're going to just go through here and kind of try and make it look nice and mossy, right? Because we want that kind of bark underneath look, right? So I even might add a little bit of yellow after this round to really make it stand out. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is beginner friendly? I'm trying to do it in such a way that if you've never painted before, that you'll be able to at least accomplish these techniques and get a finish out that you can be proud of. That's the goal with what I'm doing here. I'm trying to kind of distill down how I paint into kind of a workable, fun and easy kind of way to paint, you know? At least that's the hope. Try my best. Oh, thanks for the follow, Matt. Welcome to the party, brother. I have not tried Pro Acryl yet, and I do want to try them. I've heard great things. I do love mixing paints, and I know that their paint range is a little smaller than kind of your standard big paint companies, which is totally cool and totally fine with me. The only reason I haven't invested is I want to start doing more and more paint classes, and I feel that mixology is definitely something that's hard to teach. So it's hard to be like, I need you to bring primary colors and a brown and a black and a white, right? Because I can make the colors and be happy with them, but I don't know if that's something that a beginner can, you know? And I want to try and keep that in mind. But I do want to try some Pro Acryl for my own just curiosity. And I also heard Too Thin Coats is really good too. I want to try those out. There's a bunch of them I want to try. But yeah, really excited about these Sylvaneth models. I mean, this is looking really fun. This is really cool. Also, the more complex a model is, the easier it is to paint, in my opinion. So I know it seems like a complex model and maybe not too beginner friendly, but its complexity actually gives it, it's really easy to paint edges and paint detail that is a 3D, and you just kind of match it, right? It's way easier to do that than to paint in detail, like freehand and whatnot. So I'm not a fan, it's so thick. I did hear that, but I don't mind the thickness either. I can always use glaze medium or water. And then the paint kind of lasts a little longer. So I don't mind that. I have heard that it's really thick. Probably my favorite thing about Vallejo paints is the fact that the moment they come out of the jar, or the bottle, they're ripping and ready to go. That's something that I do really like. I mean, you just put them on a wet palette, and the wet palette is enough to moisten it up and make it workable. Just the right amount, you know, not too much, but just the right amount in my opinion. So, and right now I'm just kind of tapping the highest points, try and make it look a little more vine-like here, and try and really get this highlight set in. Like I said, I might add a little bit of yellow, maybe even a touch of white to this green, just to give it a little more oomph. But yeah, that's what we got so far. What do you guys think? Army Painter are great for new people since they have a triad system. Yeah, Vallejo's, they have what they call their BSL system, and it's actually really nice because you can buy, it's a pack of 4 paints. I think they cost between $15 to $18 or something like that. So not cheap, but definitely affordable, and it gives you the lightest tone to the darkest tone, which is really nice. I've been really enjoying that system. I'm going to probably flesh out my entire library of paints with them. So with that, I'm now going to grab kind of a really calmish, this is kind of the yellow I kind of want to add, really calm yellow. I'll add that in. Get a nice medium going there, just a droplet of it. Really push these kind of just the tips, the brightest point, what I call the triangle on the model, right? I don't think I've opened this paint bottle yet. That's kind of fun. I think I spilled vodka in this, in my, what I was using to hold paint with. Or something. They're really kind of gross. Maybe my mineral spirit bottle leaked or something. I don't know. So I'm actually going to use the dry brush to mix that color in. Right? Just use the dry brush as the medium to mix. So now I'm going to have a really brighter green here. I actually might just grab even just a touch more. Dry that off. That should give me a really nice kind of highlight color. Just kind of make the horns and whatnot a little more interesting to look at. There we go. That's what you want to see. What's up, Johnny? How you doing? Long time no see. Sorry about my break there. I was remodeling my room. Took a little longer than expected. Hope you don't mind. I tried to be quick. So now we're just going to hit kind of the tips of things that I want to appear a little more interesting. Really make that really pop out. And that is going to be the bark for this guy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Kind of put a little too much there, but that's okay. You can just wipe it off. Done. So that is what the bark will be. I might hit it. Ugh, see, this is my problem. I don't know when to stop. Just want it to be a little more interesting in a couple of these spots, I guess. Mainly the front part here. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty, and then we have that rich, real nice, rich darkness behind it, which is what we were aiming for. So, perfect. Is this the Warhammer modeling kits? This is a proxy for the Warhammer kits. This is the Sylvaneth proxy. This is all 3D printed. But more or less, yes, it's basically just Warhammer. But yeah, what's up, Zend? Welcome in. So now we have two options at this point. I do want to, I either want to do the skin a pink, right? Let's see, that's decent lighting. So I either want to do the skin a pink or a blue, but I am open to suggestions. What do you guys think? So right now I'm thinking of a very nice kind of blue. It'll have the darkness be here and the shadows, and then this will be my mid-tone, and I'll add a little bit of white to that for a highlight. So we're gonna start with the blue because blue's easy. And we're gonna consult our paint wheel here to see exactly how we should do it. So right now we kind of have a nice dark green as our primary color. So with that being said, the exact complementary color is pink. So that would work. Our split complementary is looking at red, orange, and violet for green. If I went, it's basically green, but you could call it yellow green. So close to that would be, again, pink and a violet. Paint wheels are very helpful. They're a couple bucks anywhere you go too. But I think if I went a blue-green, so if I went brown, I'm thinking this will work. The green and the blue, that's what that would look like, right? Kind of the blue-green color is what we're aiming for here. So that's what that would look like. The pink would look more like this, which kind of adheres to it, you know? Doesn't matter what color you prime with. It does, depending on what your goal is. So if you're just gonna paint it, block it in with just, you know, you're gonna fully block in the color, right? By fully block in, I mean you're gonna paint it exactly the color. You don't care about translucency. You're not trying to have undercoat come through. You can really paint it any color. I recommend never priming in pure black. The most I would prime in is maybe a medium gray, because it's really hard to bring a value up from medium gray. So you'll be painting white on black for forever, right? For most applications, you could do Citadel Wraithbone primer from Games Workshop. Or Citadel. It's fantastic. I really like that primer. If you have an airbrush, I recommend getting black and white from Vallejo and kind of making your own. But yeah, it definitely matters. If I'm doing mainly a contrast paint build, I will prime with white. But yeah, it really comes down to the darker the model starts, the more work you're going to have, unless you want it to be black or brown or whatever starting color you're going to be doing. So we're going to start with blue because I like painting blue. And then I think we're going to do the weapon either yellow and do, what we can do here is a blue, green, and yellow. Do a, what's it called? Analogous, which is using colors that are adjacent to each other on the color wheel. Use at least 2, but no more than 5 consecutive colors. So this one will be our analogous build. How about that? Rinsing on an airbrush after an awful rattle can job on my Tyranids? Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend Vallejo. You can airbrush it basically. It's going to be this bottle. I can't show exactly the logo or anything, but I get in trouble. But that's that brush there. You can, or that with that bottle, you can basically use it right out of the bottle. And it has a really nice tip that sprays out. So that's what I recommend. That's what I use. I've used it for years. I'll be honest, most of my paint, it won't come off the model. It'll come off the primer, if that makes sense. Like the primer will stay. My paint sometimes will come off. But that's really rare, and it's on models that I've painted like 10 years ago, and I touch the edges. Okay, so we're going to take this Tassar blue. It's a blue contrast paint. How about that? We're going to add a little bit of water. I always recommend if you use speed paints to water them down just a hair. Because sometimes they can be quite unpredictable, and it's easier to add a little more pigment than it is to remove it. So we're going to go through here and use it as our base coat over our Zenithal spray. I also recommend to, if you're going to use contrast paints or speed paints, at the very minimum, do a Zenithal spray before. It really lends itself well to Zenithal priming. I think what we'll do is do a really bright yellow looking hair and weapon. So, and when you're painting, you want to think of the 60-30-10 rule. So 60% of the model you want to be your primary color. On this one, it's going to be the bark. The 30% here is going to be the blue on his skin. And then the 10% is going to be the yellow. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind when you're doing paint palettes. But yeah, an airbrush is fantastic. I mean, I use my airbrush mostly for priming, to be honest with you. I mean, it's so amazing for priming. And rattle cans smell, and they're not convenient sometimes. I don't airbrush with a paint booth, even though I probably should, but you can use that inside, which helps to kind of make sure you don't speckle just perfectly glued model. There's nothing worse than that. So I might be a little heavy-handed here, but that's okay with the blue, because we are going to come back through and dry brush it and bring up those values a little bit more. I'm not going to try and perfectly get into kind of where it transitions from blue to his bark, because I did overpaint a little bit into the skin, but that's okay because naturally it would transition anyways. So kind of do a nice little mix there. So yeah, if you're going to use speed paints, I highly recommend a Zenithal spray. It literally makes or breaks it. Makes it so much easier to use too. We're just going to reinforce kind of the darker parts with a little more contrast paint while it's still a little wet. And then we will go through and add in the kind of the finishing touches here. Try not to spend a crazy amount of time on these because they are, again, just test models. Just trying to get the vibe of the color more than the technique of the color, if that makes sense, or the technique of the painting. So, and where these little runes are kind of recessed, I'm going to hit them a little bit extra with my contrast paints so they'll stay nice and dark for me. But yeah, pretty easy peasy. And you could definitely paint this like this and then just be cool with it, right? That's what's so nice about the Zenithal spray, is it really does a lot of the heavy lifting for you when you use contrast paints. But I don't recommend using contrast paints on a flat painted model unless you're doing kind of a blending, using them as a wet blending tool. They get kind of splotchy and weird sometimes. What's up, Al? If it's too cold to paint and a rattle can doesn't settle, that's true. Would it screw up in the heat as well? I'm out in Florida. I would say in Florida, it's more about the humidity in the air. I know that humidity and heat are the two problems you're going to come across when it comes to using a rattle can to prime. So maybe if you have a garage that you can kind of modulate at least one of those things, you know, get a temperature that you're happy with, and then maybe prime only at that temp. That will help. And I also, a big thing before you rattle can anything, just spray like a bit of plastic or something. Like go find a little piece of something and test that before you spray your models. And that'll tell you how far away you need to be, how close you need to be, the time to dry between coats. It's really helpful. All right, now that this is all dry, we can go back in and dry brush some more. I'm gonna use a little itty bitty dry brush for this one. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. I sure do appreciate that. Dude, an airbrush is nice. It really is. It's really nice, but just, it's a commitment. I want to do a airbrush tutorial from what I've learned from an airbrush here soon. The problem is I just don't know how to put it into words. I just kind of automatically know and fix it without really thinking. It's like riding a bike and then trying to tell someone how to balance. I don't know. Like, I spent a lot of time ruining models, learning how to airbrush, and so I don't know. I feel like I can diagnose things really quickly, and I don't really think of the process of it. So I'm trying to nail down exactly how to fix problems, like if X is happening, do Y, kind of thing. But I do plan to come out with an airbrush tutorial. It's definitely one of those things that it will advance you in the next level in your painting. You know, it's just a really awesome tool, but it isn't like a solve all. It's not this, you know, premium perfect way to be instantly good at painting. It's its own problems. It has its own challenges, you know. Man, this paint is separated. What's up, Nate? Teach people what they really want to know. How to make that dank salad dressing. All right, if you guys want to know the best salad dressing you can ever have, which my buddy Nate and Allie can attest to, you take one part olive oil. Make sure it's not extra virgin because that tastes like garbage. Make sure it's nice, high quality, real olive oil. 2 parts Duke's mayo. Okay. 2 parts vinegar. If you're not a big tang person, just 1 part vinegar. A dash of yellow mustard, okay? And then a bunch of Italian seasoning, just, you know, oregano, basil. You want to get fancy, you can put a little thyme in there. Just salt and pepper, and maybe even a little bit of garlic powder. Boom, shake that up. I call it sub salad dressing. It makes the best salads you've ever had. Guaranteed. I guarantee it. Man, it's like this paintball has never been opened. See, Allie knows. It's like all the like my favorite things of an Italian sandwich, like an Italian deli sandwich, and boom. But in a nice salad, it's like a gluten-free salad. It's really good. At least in my opinion, it's good. I've gotten approval from others as well, saying it's good, so it's got to be good, right? They wouldn't lie to me. Okay, you know what? This blue right out of the jar here is not going to cut it. It's too dark, so we're going to add a little bit of a warm white. You have to get the right red wine. I got the wrong one. What one did you get? I just get the cheapest red wine, just Pompeii. Yeah, generally when you get expensive vinegars, they're like for deglazing, or they are a glaze, or they're kind of almost a syrup, you know? The cheap vinegars are where it's at when you're cooking, unless it's like a dressing. Like we have this really nice, I think it's a fig balsamic vinaigrette. It's really good. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of this warm white here, a little bit of the blue that we've already put on, mix that in a little bit, and that is going to be our highlight for the blue, and this will be then, the skin will be done. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. You see how easy this is right now? Just easy as pie. Pie's also not easy. I don't know why that's a saying. Easy as pie? Pie's hard to make, okay? It takes hours. Gotta make the filling, gotta make the whatever it's called, the you know what I'm talking about. Franzia, the finest vintage. Did not glue this down to the base good enough, and I'm suffering because of it. Oh. Oh, thanks, Esco. Thanks for the heart me and the roses. What's up, buddy? Welcome back. Long time no see. Thank you so much for your donation. I might have to turn off those alerts. That's getting out of hand. Oh, thank you so much, dude. Really appreciate it. Pie is so hard we can't even remember its parts. Yeah, exactly, dude. The crust, that's what I was trying to think of. I guess you could buy the pan of graham cracker crust, you know. It's been a while, mate. Hope you are well. I'm great now that you're here, dude. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I remodeled the game room. I'm going to do a video of it here soon. Once we get all the LEDs in and the artwork we want to do. I want to buy an old, like, painting. Like a vintage, I don't know, like war or something with like troops or knights or something. And then me and my lady are going to paint in all of our favorite characters. So like some Demon Slayer. I'm going to put like a Plague Marine in there and hand paint it all in. And that's going to be kind of our centerpiece for the art. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be kind of in a while though, I'm thinking. But yeah, dude, it's really, it came out real nice. And I apologize for my extended absence. It took a little longer than I wanted it to, you know? I want this to have kind of an ethereal feel to it, so I'm going to really push the boundaries of this white here on the tips, because I want it to look almost ghost-like, you know? I want it to look magical and interesting, almost like a power sword. Oh, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate the donations, buddy. Esco, you're a real one. Yeah, and it's just a little more accessible, you know? I'll put a limit on how many times that replays. But you keep breaking that limit, it seems, because you're so generous, my dude. So generous. Thank you again. I sure do appreciate it. But yeah, we're definitely getting somewhere. Am I coming to Japan with you and Juan? Probably not. I don't think Ricky will, A, be able to take the time off, and we just don't have the finances, unfortunately, for it. I would like to, though. It sounds like a ton of fun to go to Japan. I could weave out. I could be the. I would be the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason they don't like Americans. That would be me. I would love to go, though. Tell you that right now, bud. Okay, to give you guys a little update on what this is looking like now. What do you guys think of that, huh? Yeah, dude. I'm excited to be back, man. It's been too long since I painted anything. I did play my Sons of Bahamut finally. My first match ever. A lot of people came up to the table and were like, "How long have you been playing? These are awesome." And I was like, "This is my first game." And they're like, "You painted everything before you played?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sick in the head." Can't wait to ride on a train where everyone is quiet. That is true. And respectful and nice and kind. Well, kind to each other. I don't know if they're too kind to foreigners. Maybe that's an assumption I'm making about Japan, but I'm sure if you're respectful, everyone else will be respectful. There's a lot of social rules there, like don't eat and walk, by the way. I don't know if you know about that one. That one's pretty cool. Esco, you are such a gracious addition to this little hangout, buddy. Sure do appreciate you. Ah, those are ears? Well, I gotta paint those ears in real quick. That's my bad. I thought they weren't ears for some reason. I thought they were horns. You know me, I love painting a nice horn, you know? I like painting antlers and bones. Those are the best. Tell you what, they're so easy. They're so much fun to paint. Boom. Just about done there. Okay, and then I'm going to come back through and maybe reinforce a little bit of these values here that have been washed out by the dry brush. If you go up too fast in gradient on a model, it'll look really ashy when you're dry brushing, right? So, but you can just fix that by either washing the entire model again, and then you immediately fix it for one thing, right? But then it also makes it a little more rich, to be honest with you. It makes all of it a little more rich. Add a lot of water to this little bit here. So I'm just going to go over the face just a hair to bring back a little more of the blue value. Just kind of tint it, you know? Can't wait to field my army and lose, but lose looking good. Yeah, dude, that's exactly what I did. I told the guy, I'm like, don't sandbag me, don't be nice, just crush me. I want this to feel like old school Smash Bros at my friend's house, where his older brother just pummeled me as a 12-year-old little kid just playing video games for the first time, And he didn't hold back. I'll tell you that much. He really taught me through pain. I told him right before the game started, I said, I'm going to do 2 mistakes, and there's nothing I can do, and they're going to happen no matter what. And he was like, oh, yeah? What do you think those 2 mistakes are going to be? I said, my deployment and my first turn. And lo and behold, that's exactly where I messed up. I messed up on my deployment because I misunderstood kind of my army detachment rule, which is great. So I had positioned entirely incorrect. It's shameful, but it happens, And then after that, once I realized my mistake, I was able to kind of give it a good brawl back, but for the most part, I got my ass kicked. There's no getting away from learning how to play a war game. You just got to get your shit rocked every now and then to understand the nuances, Boy, do I ever understand the nuances. I was too confident. Yeah, the deployment phase be in cover. Yeah, the problem is there's no cover for Sons of Bahamut. So I was like, I'm just gonna send it, which I did correctly. He said that's how I would have played it too, just with like the mission we were playing. The one mistake I made was I just put the wrong models next to each other, right? Like this one was buffing this one and not the one that I thought it was buffing. It's a long story. Anyways, I ruined it. But I did do the full send. He said, with this army, you're definitely like, they just want to go in and punch things. That's how they're designed. And to try and play like sneaky gameplay, you're just going to do nothing and lose the game. And I was like, that's fair. And he's a really experienced player, and he just told me how it is, I'm like, what would you do here? And he's like, I would rush in as fast as possible. But that's the thing about these big giants, is they're so simple that it makes it difficult, if that makes sense. They're so simple that it makes it weird. Like I rush in if they castle, I hold back if they're an aggressive army. I don't know yet. I'm just going to have to get my shit rocked a couple times, just get popped in the mouth a couple times, Don't look at those cans. Okay? Don't look at it. Don't even worry about it. Okay? Yeah, dude. Well, and it was fun. I had a really good time. I got a lot of people stop by and say, wow, these are amazingly painted. I'm like, that's all I wanted. That's all I need at the end of the day. Is I'm gonna lose in high fashion, I can imagine losing a game with gray plastic. Ugh. How embarrassing. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, I can't ever lose if my army's cool. Joaquin, what's up? Let's try and get this paint to play nice with us. I often see people playing as I pass by. I cast judgment on how they painted it. I know, but those people, if you played against them, would just tear you up. I looked across the entire... There's only one person that painted their models, and they were painted very well. They're very clean painting, and you could tell he took time and effort, but you still... There's still like a couple... Like, no one wants to spend the time to like wash and highlight, so a lot of it was like just blocked in colors, which is fine. I mean, if that's all you want to do, then it still looks really good. When you have a fully painted, blocked in army, it looks good. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing wrong with that. But man, I did cast a couple judgment on some, looked like someone painted with a glue gun kind of thing. Exactly, me too. Well, but the thing is, I don't think most of the people in the hobby that actually go and play the game are like us. I think we're the odd ones out on that, you know? All right, so this is going to be our third color. We're doing a analogous scheme with this one. That's the plan. I think the analogous will look really good. The other one we'll do split complementary with the other green one. Then the brown ones we can play a little bit more with, if that makes sense, because that way we can add in more more control to exactly, since the base color is going to be mostly neutral, it allows us to kind of play around and have fun with the details of the model, right? So when I was saying 60, 30, 10, this is 60% green, 30% blue, and then 10% yellow. And that is, I know this is more of an orange right now, but again, that is going to be my bottom layer. My shadows are all going to be this kind of color here. So we're just going to pencil those in basically, get those kind of set. And then we will come through with a nice bright yellow for the highlight. I'm going to be really gracious with this orange. We'll do the leaves a nice yellow as well here. And then if I was going to do a glow effect, I would probably just do a white. A white for the eyes, white for the spirals on his chest and skin to give it kind of an ethereal ghost look. And then for everything on the kind of symbols in his bark armor, it would be more of a do kind of an ethereal blue, right? Kind of a callback to this is kind of a ghost man, you know? Ghost man. I've seen guys army paint with 2 colors, and that's wild to me, dude. They're doing the bare minimum for comp, you know. At my old LGS, the 2 biggest tournament players commission people to paint their armies. Yeah, I mean you're talking thousands of dollars if you're going to commission someone. And hey, if you want an army commission, hey, I'll paint an army for you. It will be pricey if you want it to be like showroom, you know. We're talking like competition level. It'll be pricey, but I'll definitely do it. Don't get me wrong. That is what I would argue that I could probably, if I did the bases a little bit more. That's a problem right now with like competitive painting tournaments. The tournaments are always outlandish with the basing. Outlandish with the basing. You know what I'm saying? Like, calm down. I don't want to base. I want to paint the model. I want to paint the model. I don't care about doing landscape painting. I'm not a huge train nerd, okay? That's, you know what I'm talking about? Like the guys in the basement doing all these cityscapes and landscapes and they have trains go everywhere. They like doing landscape. I paint models. You know what I'm saying? The diorama is wild, right? I can't stand it. So I try my best on my basing, but I'm not going to spend like 50 hours on it, if you know what I mean. Like, that's just, you're getting out of hand. You're getting out of control here, okay? Getting a little crazy with some of these bases. And a lot of it is, a lot of it's very aggressive lighting, too. That's how 50 hours, one apple tree, yeah, exactly, okay? Now, and the competition level pieces arguably are really hard to paint. They really are. They have a lot of like color theory and light theory, but if you look at them, they really kind of abuse a analogous or a complementary color scheme in the lighting effect. So they'll have like orange, right? So if this is the light source, right? They would have orange coming in strong, and then they would have blue. And then they just paint it orange and blue. Homie, I can paint orange and blue. Okay? Not hard. All right. And the other thing they'll do is they'll paint a whole model like normal, like a normal model that looks really cool and really realistic, and that's great. And then they'll airbrush that blue and orange while they're holding like a match or something, and boom, all of a sudden everyone's like, "Whoa!" Not that hard. You take an airbrush, you put orange ink in it, you on one side, you put blue ink in the other, done. Okay, it's not that hard. I'm talking a lot of smack, but I'm actually intimidated. I'm actually really intimidated. I would like to do a tournament, but every time I see tournament winners, I'm like, I could do that, but I just don't have time. It's not true. I'm very intimidated. A lot of that stuff is crazily skilled. I'm just petty. See, this is like, it's not that hard. I'm literally that kind of armchair expert. It is really impressive, though. And one day I'll learn how to do it. The thing is, those people do like busts too, so the bust will be this big. That's easy. That's easy to paint really cool. When you're painting, try and do that with this, okay? Try and do that with this. Let me see that. Okay? Let me see that. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. All right, this is almost dry. Let me just hit it a little bit more just to make sure. There's nothing worse than trying to dry brush wet paint, okay? I've made the mistake too many times to count, and I'm not playing the game anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it may look dry, but it's not dry. It's a lie. Boom. This new setup is saving me a lot of time, guys. We're going to get so much more work done now if I stop talking so much, which will probably never happen. All right, we're just going to kind of paint back these hooves back into kind of a more hoof color. All right, this olive drab will be our hoof color. Right. I'm really enjoying this olive brown here. That's looking good. There we go. And we'll just kind of pick out some details and kind of give it a little more oomph, right? The under schmear. All right. We're going to get in the weeds here. I already can feel myself doing it. What's up, Adam? I still play that game and kick myself every time I do. Yeah. Yep. It's a game we all lose at, you know? You try and dry brush wet paint, okay? You're just asking. You're just asking for it. You're playing with fate, okay? And fate wins that battle, okay? So, Adam, right now, this is kind of the test paint. One of the palette choices is an analogous with green, yellow, and blue. That's going to be one of the color schemes that the Patreon supporters are going to be able to vote on for the paint class. So, after this, I'm going to do a similar one, but instead of analogous, we're going to do the green bark again. And on that one, we are going to do a really cool purple and pink, because that is split complementary of the green. I am returned. Asylum Seer's back, spurred by the grace of good. Right on. Overjuiced melon. I'm 2 years in and my edge highlighting is still ass. Any tips? I have plenty of tips. So tell me what kind of edge highlighting you're trying to do, because there's a couple different ways to do it depending on the surface, right? So if I'm doing Space Marine edging, That is a completely different style of edge highlighting. Now, when I'm doing like rough bark like this, what I call organic material, that is a completely different way that I edge highlight, okay? So let me know in the chat exactly what kind of edge highlighting you're trying to accomplish, and then I can help you from there. I've been pretty good, dude. I've worked really hard to try and get this setup done as fast as possible, and it still took me longer than I wanted. So I apologize for being absent for so long. And I'm really happy you've come to hang out once again, dude. How have you been? How was the holidays? I haven't talked with any of you guys since like December, I want to say, like early December, right? That's my last stream. I want to apologize for failing you guys like that. You and me both, bud. I've been grinding to get hired in. Nice. It's good to have a break, though. It is. Definitely was nice to have I'm not going to lie, a couple days were just for myself. You know? Don't hate me. I was a little selfish. I know. But a couple days I had to just kind of chill. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. A couple chill days. Now you need time to do you, and I get it. Don't feel you owe us these lives. I feel like I do. You guys donate, you hang out with me, you know? It's important, man. It's important. That is true. I did really enjoy spending time with my lady. She was on break from school, so we got to spend a lot of time together, which was really fun. We had a blast hanging out every day, and we remodeled the room together. She took an injury. She put her feet underneath the panel that you see, and got chewed up a little bit. So she's a trooper, though. Do a quick little eye glow here. Nothing fancy. My mom broke her leg, if it makes you feel any better. Oh my God. Slipped on ice and had to have surgery today for a plate, but she's a trooper chilling at grandma's like nothing happened. Dude, that'll be a Christmas story that she won't forget for a while. A little too early to harangue her, but next year it'll be, you know, be careful on that ice, Mom. I hope she's okay, though. Sounds like her acting like nothing happened means she's okay, right? Oops, keep tapping that, don't I? So right now, this is kind of the easiest way to do a glow effect. So you just make a little white wash and you just tap it into the recesses. It's not as good as an oil wash because you can't remove the excess, but it does look passable. With a quick and dirty like this, passable is all that we care about. You know? I do tutor and I hold painting classes. So if you check out my Patreon, you can join the Discord where you can sign up for paint classes or one-on-one tutoring. So yeah. The first paint class is actually going to be this dryad here we're going to do in February. And right now what we're doing is doing a test color palette, right? so we can then I can get a paint palette set up and then recommended paints, and we're going to paint it all together is the plan. So this isn't going to be exactly what you guys are going to paint. These models right here that I'm doing right now are just kind of testing the techniques that I want to teach in the beginner class. So, but yeah, we're going to go over dry brushing and a couple other really useful techniques that I use on the regular. Then I'll have intermediate classes and advanced classes where we'll cover airbrush usage, OSL, and other fancy ways to make your stuff look cooler is the plan. That is the plan. So, but yeah, it's going to be a paint along class. For tutoring, whatever you need, I'll help you out best I can. We'll get on a Zoom call and you can show me exactly the struggles you're having, or whatever kind of need that you have. I'll try my best to help you out with what I know. And yeah, I really enjoy doing it. So let me know. Oh, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the party. Welcome in. Welcome to the Cool Kid Club. Welcome to the party. But yeah, I've been painting for a couple years, and I am not a talent-based painter. I am a techniques-based painter. So everything that I'm doing is just a technique that I've either taught myself or learned, and that's all I share is just how I do things. But yeah, we're all gonna paint. I'm thinking it'll be near the end of February will be the first class. I'm gonna put together a whole thing, and then you'll be able to purchase the mini on a discount from my friends at Resin Reborn. They'll hook you up. And the first painting class is going to be free. I can't give away the model. That'll still have to be purchased. And the painting materials I'll have set up for what I recommend with links to purchase. And also alternative paints if you already own some. That way you don't have to break the bank trying to get all the paints that we're going to use. So that's the plan. But yeah, thank you for asking. Do you have a website talking about the class or just here? Right now, we're just talking about it right here and my Patreon and on my Discord. If you would like to join the Discord, you can join that on my Patreon. There's a post showing the link. It's free to join. There is, of course, some Patreon only perks, which is kind of free feedback, involved feedback, I like to say. Really, whatever you need, you can just post and I'll help you the best I can. On top of that, you get a vote on what the next painting class is going to be for the models, and you'll be able to pick the color palettes and the next model. And right now we're kind of doing a test. The first class is going to be kind of a test to kind of iron it out. Oh, that's my bad. It was supposed to be a forever link. I do apologize. Just one moment and I'll fix that. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's I'm trying to create a really fun community where we'll paint a mini once a month, and then there'll be multiple classes each month that you can take where we take that mini and take it to the next level, you know? Add techniques, add different ways to improve, to personalize it, make it more interesting and more of what you want. And the tutoring is basically whatever you need, you know? If you're struggling with painting freehand on an Imperial Night, I'll try my best to give you some tips. If you're having trouble with an airbrush, or if you're nervous about starting an airbrush, we can do a one-on-one tutor session on airbrush beginning if you want to deep dive in object source lighting or color theory, whatever you need. So I really enjoy this. This is a side little hobby of mine. I've been painting for about 8 years, and it's just fun. I have a fun time doing it. So let me update this post. I do apologize. I'll put a fresh Discord link in here. So, but again, the first painting class is going to be free to whoever wants to join. We will be all painting the same model. It'll be through Zoom. It'll be very professional. You'll be able to, we'll have moments where we'll stop and I'll go to each person if they want to show their progress. If you're comfortable, you don't have to. And I'll give you immediate feedback on maybe the struggles you're having. And we'll just go step by step. It'll be about 3 hours long, I'm planning on. And at the end, if you're comfortable with it, you can post your mini and we'll have a little community-based competition where you vote to see who you think did the best mini, and there'll be a little prize at the end. So let's see. Let me get to my Discord and get a fresh link. I do apologize. Edit invite link never expires. Generate link, copy. Okay, and this will be boom. So that'll be in the post, that Discord post. It should be an updated link. Let me know if that works. I do apologize for that not working. Okay, there we go. Should be good to go. Let me know if that works for you guys. This is a really new community I'm building right now. I've only been doing it since November. So I apologize if there isn't a ton of people here. I do appreciate every single one of you that joins. It really warms my heart seeing it slowly grow, and it's kind of a passion project of mine. And really, I'm just at your disposal however you need, however I can help you upgrade your painting skills. I'm an okay painter in my opinion. Other people say other things. I try my best. So, but yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions you have. Right now, this is just enough. This is just a test piece. Don't judge me on this one. This one is just a, you can call it a rough draft, more or less. But yeah, it's something I'm really excited about, that first painting class. So, and once I have the paint palette figured out and I can build the post describing all the materials and paints you need, I'll get that on my Patreon as fast as possible, along with an announcement on the Discord as well. So look out for those things, and yeah, love to see everyone there, whoever's interested. Sweet. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the Patty Paints Minis party. If you have any questions right now, I'm more than welcome to help you as best I can. I try not to gatekeep anything. Let's go with this brush. Sure do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's way more fun painting with you guys than spending hours alone in complete silence. To be fair, I did listen to a lot of audiobooks when I painted solo. A lot of podcasts and whatnot. But this is way more fun. So yeah, the first class is mainly going to be focused on basics, blocking in color, washes, dry brushing. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Al. Thank you for the donation. Oh, you're too kind, Al. Yeah, boy. Yes, a live stream I can get down with. What's up, Tibbs? Glad you can get down with it. How you doing, brother? Welcome in. So I'm kind of being a little aggressive with this dry brush, but I plan to water down my contrast paints that I originally used and do kind of a mid-tone wash, right? So originally it was just to kind of darken, get the tone set in that I wanted. And then this one will be specifically kind of bring it all together. I appreciate that, dude. Welcome back, Tibbs. I do apologize for my extended absence. I remodeled the game room, the stream room. Try and minimize all the time I spend trying to find things so I can hang out with you guys more. Get a little more work done, make it a little cooler, make it a little more fun, make it a little more interesting, make it a little, you know, I got this cool light here. I haven't even messed with it. I gotta get the login, but this light has a login. The light I installed has a login. Okay, we got lights. It literally does anything you want. It's crazy, and eventually I'll get that figured out. But yeah, this is the first paint palette, the color palette. I'm going to try and bust out all of these this week. I think I might just do 2 different variations. I think I'm going to do this variant, and then I believe I'm going to do kind of a wood. I really like the green. We'll see. It's hard. It's hard to make decisions sometimes, okay? What was your first paint? Oh, sorry, I missed that. What introduced you to painting minis, and what was your first paint? I apologize, I didn't see that message. If you're still here, I was a big just art kid growing up, and I started to get into Dungeons and Dragons, and then I just kind of wanted to paint some models that looked like fun. I really liked painting like airplane models and tank models. When I was a kid, and it just looked really fun and interesting. So I grabbed a bunch of different D&D miniatures that are like $1 a piece kind of thing, and I started painting those, and people liked them, so I started selling them on my Etsy. And then my good friend Nate introduced me to Warhammer, and so I started painting those, and I made an army. I really enjoy playing it. So it's kind of been a slow progression towards where I'm at now, but mainly just all started because I like doing something artistic as a hobby, and I really do think mini painting has helped me a ton. It's very meditative, helps to calm the mind, allow you to think, you know, just really relaxes. It's a really relaxing hobby, something I think everyone needs. Something to decompress at the end of the day, a little ritual, I guess you could say, to reset, to be ready for life, to think through things that are troubling you, or think through things that you appreciate, you know? But yeah, not to get all whimsical about it. But yeah, I just enjoy painting. So I think that's the first one. Let's see. I might have time to bust out the next one. We're gonna do it really quick though. Do it as quick as possible. This is dry now. Now that you know, usually the first one takes the longest, then once you got that locked in, it generally goes pretty quick, you know? Oh, I'm just okay. Thank you, though, Al. I just started painting for similar reasons. I'm working on a Stormcast army. Nice, dude. That's sick. Some angels and stuff. Gonna make some hammer boys. That's sweet. This is gonna be my second Age of Sigmar army. I just finished my Sons of Bahamut army. I might add to it, so you might see another giant coming out. I'm gonna do a Path to Glory at my LGS, and I wanna have this army going in the Sylvaneth army up and running as fast as I can, but I would like some options in the Path of Glory because right now I only have 2 Gargants, Kragnos, and some Man Crushers. But yeah, I'm shit at painting, but 100% agree with it being very meditative. I really enjoy it. Hey man, I was shit at painting too. It's just a time aspect. So you're just an apprentice. You're just not where you want to be. And by the way, I don't think I'm that great either, to be honest with you. So don't say that, dude. Be stoked, be proud, be happy. There's nothing shit about enjoying the process of painting a miniature, okay? It's just about the most, innocent, glorious, just endeavor you can ever embark upon, in my humble opinion. Okay? And I'm just doing this quick and dirty. I'm going to try and get this one busted out ASAP. Don't have a ton of time. I'm trying to get this update out on the Discord, and for anyone interested in the painting class, I want to get that done so I can get minis shipped out to people. Still got to figure out when I'm going to do it exactly. It has to be a Saturday, unfortunately. I'm hoping everyone will be able to attend that wants to. I just can't think of another day where I can block out 3 hours and do it justice, But that's a plan so far. Sorry about that. Losing my voice a little bit. So the thing about dry brushing is you want it not to be perfect. You want it to have little subtle variations in it, right? Or else you would just be painting it with a brush, right? You want it to look different and, not perfect. You want it to have a semblance of the same kind of vibe going on, but you don't want it to be exactly the same. That's another trick with dry brushing. You want to be minimal and extreme with it at the same time, especially when you're layering it, right? So it's really important that you try not to cover up what you did before. That's the minimal, but to also be aggressive in where you want it to be really popping out. Like right now, I'm just doing this real fast. Just, you've seen what I was doing this whole time. It's nothing crazy. It's probably hard to see. I'm thinking about doing this. That's looking a little bit better for you guys. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better. Weird. All right, I believe that's where we're going to stop it for today, though. I don't think I'll have enough time to do the rest of it justice, but you saw how fast that took me, how long that took me, just getting the dry brushed in with the same dry brush. Oh, thanks, Stan. You sent me a galaxy? My word, thank you so much, dude. That's crazy. You sent me a galaxy. Shut up, dude. That's crazy. Thank you so much, dude. That's awesome. I'll keep painting. Oh my word. Thank you so much. That's so gracious of you. That's my first galaxy. I think that's my first anything crazy. That's awesome. Thank you so much. You're a real one. You're an OG. You just instantly got OG status here. You're the coolest kid of the party. I'll tell you that much right now. I really appreciate that. Blew my mind. I'll keep going. I'll keep going just a little bit longer. Make sure you get your galaxy's worth, you know? Like, I'm not trying to rob someone of their galaxy, you know? Like, what kind of person would I be? Crazy. You're crazy. So nice. That's so nice of you, dude. Thank you. All right. So, talking about split complementary, right? So, with this one, we went an analogous build, right? So, with analogous, you're doing 3 colors right next to each other on the color wheel. Which for this one, we went yellow, green, and blue, right? Something like this. I could spend more time making this look better. It's good enough for kind of a test paint, right? Test palette. It's nothing crazy. I would personally, I would hand paint the skin to give it a little more oomph, and then I would also probably put some more washes on and do another wash on it. But so we're going to go to the yellow green. When we look at the yellow green for the split complementary, that's going to be red and violet. So what we're going to do is a more of a violet color for the skin, and then we'll do a pink for the sword, and yeah, probably just the sword and maybe the frolic behind him, and that'll give us our split complementary. But yeah. Well, sweet. Yeah, let's get after it. We're going to do... I don't really have a purple contrast paint. I want to get one. But what we're going to do is this Vallejo purple. It's called just purple. Nothing crazy. We'll add a bunch of water to it. Right? Ooh, maybe I'll do voluptuous pink. This is more of a purple. I think that... We'll try that out. That sounds fun. But a Stormcast army, dude. It was hard for me not to go with Stormcast. They're so cool. Like, I love all the angel-esque iconography and whatnot. Very cool. I don't like that. That's too pinkish, I think. I think we'll just have to make our own purple. That's what we'll do. So we're just going to add a bunch of water to this and make our own kind of contrast paint, right? And then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go in on the, I need to move light a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's better. I just built Ionos Cryptborn. I'm at a point where most of it's built. I want it to be good. You're going to make it good. I can feel it. Don't even worry. The thing is, you can always repaint it, right? You can always reprime it. You can always put a new layer on. Don't even worry. You got this. You're going to do a bang up job. Especially if you're going to hang out here. I will show you the way. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to this. Just so I can tone down. I want the blue to really go into the recess. It's kind of a darkish purple, you know? It's a really nice, vibrant, bright purple, but that's not what we want yet. We want it to be nice and dark at this first stage, you know? And then we'll bring it up from there, the purple. That's the nice thing about purple, blue, and red. It's really easy to adjust purple. It's easy to make it more saturated. It's easier to make it lighter. It's easier to really do anything you want with the purple. Red and oranges and yellows are very difficult to bring up in saturation and lower in saturation. You basically have to go down the scale, right, from red to orange to yellow to get the depth, or even kind of a muddy brown for an orange. So it's really nice working with purples and greens. Greens is that way too, which is nice. I'm still learning as a painter, and I'm at a weird point where I need to just commit and practice. Yep. The best way to really commit and practice is, one, if you have a 3D printer, like a resin printer, you can really just print off a bunch of different stuff and really send it, you know, and not worry about it because it's super cheap. The other thing, if you don't want to ruin, I guess not ruin, you never ruin anything. Let me just state that. But if you don't want to practice on your Citadel models because you don't want to strip them or redo them, just go down to your local game store and go buy those really cheap resin stamp out style models from Dungeons and Dragons. I think it costs like $5 and you get 2 models. Not even that, maybe like $3. I don't know, I haven't bought them in a while. But that is a super good way to practice. That's how I really kind of honed my early beginner skills, was just on those guys. And you can do a whole lot of test paint. They don't have a great detail, but they have enough detail for you to be able to really get the nuance of what you want to do in without compromising your $50 Space Marines, or your Plague Marines, or in your case your Stormcast, whatever kit. I'm not super well versed with the Stormcast yet, but if you catch what I'm laying down, it's definitely a great way to practice. So, and that way you can kind of get the broad strokes of what you want done, and then when you go to the Citadel models that are incredibly high quality, it's way easier to, because you're fighting against the poor quality as well. With those models, they're just real cheap resin print stamp out. They're not the plastic form. Fighting that lower resolution model actually makes you a better painter, because you have to paint in detail. You can't just paint the surfaces. So that's what I would recommend if you just want a lot of stuff to practice on. We're going to hit this with some voluptuous pink here. on the sword. And this will be our split complementary with the green. It's a very muted green. I might make the green brighter here and there. I haven't decided yet. This is going to be kind of our base pink color, though. The shadow of our pink, which is a very rich kind of reddish purpley pink. This is what I use for all of my tentacles on my Death Guard models. It came out really good. I really like them. It's really good for tentacles because then pink goes right on top of this and it reads really well. If you use red as your bottom color for pink, I don't know, it doesn't really read as well as this kind of dark. This is just a really dark pink, if that makes sense. Not neon or electric or anything fancy. It's just a dark pink, you know? So. I have a few epic encounter boxes I plan on starting to paint soon. There is a cool frost giant. Nice! Well, you came to the right place if you want to paint a frost giant. So let me grab my frost giant real quick. I think he's still in my play box. Boom. This is my frost giant. So, and if you check out my YouTube, I have a full hour-long video showing how I painted this. There's a couple things missing on it, but I'm happy to show you how to do this. It's really easy. It's really fun. Yeah, that's my frost giant. Need to put him back on his shelf. I have a put him right here for now. He'll be okay right here. Nice and safe. Thanks. Yeah, the whole army has really come together quite nicely. Better than I actually expected it to kind of pull through, you know? Still need to add a couple giants to it. But yeah, the frost giant, especially like the Dungeons and Dragons style frost giants, I mixed that with the giants from Game of Thrones. Was kind of the inspiration for those models. But yeah, it's been really fun. Okay, then we're gonna go in with, I missed a spot, so I'm gonna hit it with the voluptuous pink one more time on the back. And then we will probably just do a quick highlight and then we'll call it a day. And then tomorrow I will finish my paint palettes, my swatches here, and then have my Discord vote on which color palette they want to see for the paint class. Yo, I hope that you're having a great day, my dude. I hope you're having a great day, Aquamat. How are you doing, buddy? Thank you for the rose. I'm having an excellent day. I'm hanging out with cool people, painting some models. What more can you ask for, you know? Not much more. If I asked for any more, I'd be a selfish man. Yeah, I'm having a blast. Oh, did I break it? I have a bad habit. Oh, did I break those? La-di-da. Dropping all my stuff. Try to put things back as I go, not at the end like I always do. Okay, now we're going to hit it with dry enough. Some dry brushing here. The important thing is to try and keep the purple reading purple and then making the pink read pink, you know? That's the real technique here. Boom. Nice. How are you doing, Nurgle? How are you with doing Nurgle models? I like to think my Nurgle models are pretty good. This is one of my Plague Marines right here. Yeah, very, very happy with how this guy turned out. The thing about Nurgle models is they have so much detail that they take forever to paint. But they do come out pretty well. It's pretty nice when they're all done. I have a Biologist Putrefier somewhere around here that I'm very proud of. Here's one of my Poxwalkers. Oh, he found the fast way down. It's one of my Poxwalkers right there. Little focus. But yeah. Very nurgly. I tried to do box art with a little more of a vibrant vibe, if that makes sense. I wanted it to really pop. Very bright pinks, bright greens. I didn't want it to be the muted Plague Marine green. Although that is present there, I just wanted the details to really come alive, make it look like it's something evil and grotesque. Was really the goal. Okay, that's kind of my mid-tone purple coming through right there. What I'll do is I'll add just a dash of white to my mid-tone color, and that'll give me my highlight color. So I'm just trying to get this mid-tone kind of everywhere. I might even come back through and make even a darker purple for the bottom, for the shadows, you know. And I'll just mix that color right onto my dry brush here. That's the fastest way to get it done. Again, don't judge me on these. These are just color palette tests. Not to be the final product, but just the idea of the colors I'm going to use. So that's why I'm being so messy and so fast with it. I just trying to get the concept down, you know? Hit this with a little more, you know? Perfect. But yeah, and now we're going to do a quick pink. I have this nice pink here that worked very well. This one is called Athena Skin. It's a very kind of almost a salmon-y pink. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my mid-tone real fast. Might add a dash of white to this to make it a little more pinky looking. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Pink. We'll go grab a little more white. And this one will just hit the edges, right? And since this is an organic texture, I don't really care if they're like perfect edge highlights because organic things are never perfect, right? If this was a sword or metal, it would probably be sharper, which means that the edge would be perfectly equal and just perfect in every way. But since this is like a bark sword, who cares, you know? Keep it a little nice and rough texture. That makes it a little more realistic in my opinion. So we'll just hit the leaves on his for his hair and his kind of dress here. And we'll use this color as like the very, very, very final highlight on the purple. This is where you want to be minimal, right? You don't want to go too crazy with it. You just want it to be enough. So, and then since I've kind of washed this pink out a little bit, what I'm going to do is come back with my wash and I'm going to add a little bit of water to it, really water it down. Might add, yeah, I'm going to come back through, add a lot of water to this. That way it'll be really just kind of a final tint to re-darken some of those areas, right? So I've added a ton of water to that. Do you see how translucent that is? Then I'm just going to go back over the sword with that to kind of reinforce those recesses. I'm going to add just a hair back more into it. Dry this, and I'm actually going to pick that off, dry that off, and then grab that medium mix. What's up, Shroom? Shark lady? Shroom / shark? How you doing? Then we're going to just press in the middle to really darken those sigils. If I was to do this, like actually do this, I would actually put a white oil wash directly in those recesses. And then I'd airbrush it with a pink to make it glow. But this is just, again, a test model. Nothing to get crazy about. Just kind of get the idea of the colors we want to use for this model. You know? I know it looks a little goofy. I need to put a little more resolution into the green. But yeah. That is split complementary. I think I'm really liking this one. If anything, I would make the purple a little more bluish. I'd get a more blue purple. Hugging more of the other side of the color wheel, right? So today we were able to get, this is the split complementary, right? So by split, it's going to be the green, and you come down here to the pink and the violet, right? So that's our split complementary for this one. And then this one is our blue, green, green, and yellow analogous colors. I kind of went a little too far. It should have been just yellow, green, green, and blue, green. So I might revisit this one. I think the yellow is a little too strong. I think I might just wash that with a green to tone it down a little bit, but make it a really nice, vibrant green. Let's do that real quick. Let's see if we can't make that happen. I'm not a big fan of the yellow. So we're going to change that yellow to a really bright green. That's what we're going to do. See how that looks. We kind of went a little too far on the color wheel, I think. This green isn't going to work. We're going to have to get a stronger green, I think. Maybe I tint it with some blue. That would instantly change it. Let's go with this guy. Let's see what that does. Maybe this will give us what we need. Do a little test spot here. A little strong. But I think it's going to give us what we want. If I take it, water it down a ton, then try it. It's a little too strong still. You know what? We're going to stop playing around with it. We're going to be happy with it. How about that? Here's the thing. You can test a color. Do you see how I can just wash that off? Boom. It's gone. Never was even painted again. You just clean it right off. Easy peasy. But I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight. I will be continuing this tomorrow. So if you enjoyed the stream, check out my Patreon. If you want to experience more one-on-one or painting classes, that's where you'll find me, or just announcements on when I go live. So thank you so much for stopping by. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. Catch you guys later. And thank you for the follow, Dan, and the Galaxy. I sure do.